Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Your Baby's First Year for Dummies by James Gaylord, M.D., and Michelle Hagan. Narrated by Suzie Althens. Introduction. When you're pregnant and preparing for the future with baby, it's so easy to nail down a schedule for feedings, for naps, for your own return to work. And then your dream child becomes a reality, and you find that, well, she has her own ideas that don't quite coincide with your best-laid plans. For some people, bringing a baby into the home is no big deal. Their child is quiet and mellow, and just a joy to behold throughout the first year and beyond. For the parents of a fussy, sleepless infant, however, the experience is completely different. And because you'll be talking to other new parents at the doctor's office or at a playgroup, the parents of the restless baby assume that the parents of the quiet infant have a line on some secret method of raising a laid-back kid. Enter parental guilt and feelings of inadequacy. There are bound to be times during baby's first year when you feel as though you've got the world by the tail. Baby's sleeping and eating well. She's hitting those milestones right on time. And you're balancing childcare with work or with housekeeping. Then again, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. It only makes sense that there will also be times when you feel like you don't know what the heck is going on, and wonder why you ever thought you could handle this huge responsibility in the first place. Give yourself a break during those moments. The first year is one big learning experience for you and your child. Baby will be conquering new territory every month, detailed in this book, and you'll be right there, cheering her on and adjusting your own life to meet her latest wants and needs. There will be days of triumph, as when baby smiles, coos, and laughs for the first time, and days that you'd rather just forget. Teething. 'Nuff said. All of the days go by so quickly, though, and before you know it, baby will be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and then 1 year old. It all happens without your realizing it. Baby's a toddler, and you're a confident, veteran parent. This book was written with the intention of giving new parents a realistic look at what baby's first year may be like. Think of this as a time to become acquainted with your child as she grows into her personality, and you grow into parenthood. About this book. This book was written by a pediatrician with a booming practice and 2 great kids of his own, and a writer mom who's raising 3 boys. And all of these kids were completely different during their first years. We've left out a lot of scientific research on why babies behave the way they do, and have mostly focused on the practical and emotional aspects of seeing your child through the first year. For example, you won't find statistics in this book because, quite frankly, it isn't all that helpful to know that a certain percentage of infants sleep through the night at 3 months if your 3-month-old is still waking up 3 times between midnight and daybreak. Knowing how to encourage her to catch 40 winks is far more helpful than comparing your experience to phantom families around the country. So in this book, you find no-nonsense advice given in the simplest terms and presented in an easy-to-find format. We know that parenting is hard work. We've been there personally, and Dr. Gaylord has listened to many, many, many parents' concerns about the first year. We've laid out information in plain language and with a twist. We took off our rose-colored glasses while writing in an effort to let new parents know that the first year, while magical and wonderful and glorious, and far too fleeting, inevitably has its moments of confusion and frustration. We want new parents to know that they're not alone, and that feeling this way is normal. It doesn't make you a bad mom or dad. It makes you human. Conventions used in this book. To help you navigate through this book, we've established the following conventions. Italic is used for emphasis and to highlight new words or terms that are defined. Monofont is used for web addresses. Sidebars, which are shaded gray boxes full of text, consist of information that's interesting, but not necessarily critical to your understanding of the topic. Baby math can spin a parent's head around at times. We try to keep the months and the chapter titles in sync in order to eliminate confusion. Please bear in mind that when we refer to, for example, a 1-month-old or an almost 1-month-old, we're talking about a child in the first month of life and approaching the 4-week mark. Foolish assumptions. We assume that you've chosen this book for one of several reasons. You're pregnant and wondering what baby's first year will be like. You've given birth and are reading everything you can get your hands on regarding the months ahead. You've given birth and you wanted a book that doesn't talk down to you or make you feel as though there's something wrong with you if you're having a hard time making the adjustment to parenthood. We go on to assume that you're looking for advice on making it through the first year, that you know it's not always going to be easy, that you want to be the best parent you're capable of becoming, and that you're willing to give up preconceived notions. Read fantasies of how these first 12 months with a child should be. That's all. In a nutshell, if you have a baby in the house, we want to talk to you. Other titles in the For Dummies series that you may want to check out include Breastfeeding for Dummies by Sharon Perkins and Carol Van Ace, Choosing Childcare for Dummies by Ann Douglas, and Parenting for Dummies by Sandra Harden-Gookin and Dan Gookin, all published by Wiley. These books will give you a great overview of various aspects of child rearing. How this book is organized. We've broken this book into 24 chapters. Each of baby's first 12 months is addressed in its own chapter, including a list of milestones for each specific time period, a discussion of what happens during each well baby visit, and tips for ensuring baby's safety and well-being at every stage of development. The chapters are grouped into sections. Part 1. Giving baby a healthy, happy start. These debut chapters focus on preparing your house for baby, what happens in the maternity ward, deciding on a method of feeding your child, and actually transporting baby home. We also discuss the production of traveling with an infant in this section, along with information to guide you in making the decision to return to work or to stay home. Diverse topics, yes, but issues you want to know about and consider so that you're not forced to make decisions on the spot. Part 2. Introducing Baby. These chapters focus on baby's infancy, including an honest discussion of a new mom's recovery from childbirth and how baby may or may not be settling into her new home. Listen for the milestone markers at the beginning of each chapter to know what baby may be up to during this time. Part 3. Moving, shaking, and growing. Months 4 through 6 are covered in this section, a time when baby's personality begins to blossom and he starts moving of his own accord. Each chapter in this section contains information on adding solids to baby's diet and how that may affect his sleeping and nursing routines. A discussion on whether to let baby cry it out is also included in this section. Part 4. Discovering the world beyond mom. Baby becomes more mobile during the second half of the first year, and she also begins to grasp the true concept of communication. She's becoming a real person now, and these chapters focus on encouraging her language development and keeping her safe when all she wants to do is explore. We also discuss the other people in baby's life, your friends who love to compare your child to theirs, and your relatives who refuse to follow your directions when they watch your child. Tips for dealing with these well-meaning but frustrating pals and relations are included in this section. Part 5. Keeping up with baby. Baby really starts moving during the last 3 months of the first year. In fact, he may be up and walking by his first birthday party. He may also have a handle on real language at this point, or he may be quite happy to sit on his blanket without saying a word. Tips for staying sane while parenting an active baby are given in this section, along with advice for parents whose children haven't hit the big developmental milestones just yet. Weaning becomes an issue at this point, and advice for making it a less uncomfortable experience for mom is included here. There's also a list of toddler-loved toys, just in case you need some help buying for the big party. Part 6. Protecting baby's health and safety. These chapters give an overview of the first-year immunizations and common illnesses, along with advice on comforting a sick child and when to call the doctor. Basic first aid and baby-proofing measures, to prevent injuries in the first place, are discussed in these chapters. We also give you some insight into how to care for a special needs baby. Part 7. The Part of Tens. A standard feature in all For Dummies titles, the Part of Tens includes short, to-the-point chapters focused on presenting need-to-know information in the most efficient way possible. The Part of Tens chapters in Your Baby's First Year for Dummies include advice for making it through the first few weeks after baby's birth, what a dad can do to survive the first year, and what kinds of situations or illnesses warrant an immediate call to the pediatrician, plus advice on which ones don't. Icons used in this book. The icons used throughout the book are bits of information that can make your life easier or protect your child from harm. Call the doctor. Some situations call for the advice from a pro. We use this icon to let you know when something merits an expert medical opinion, or when you should consult your doctor to put your mind to rest about a situation. Remember, this icon points out words of wisdom that we feel are particularly important and likely to be valuable as you brave baby's first year. Technical stuff. When we go into medical details or delve deeply into a topic, we use this icon. Rest assured that you can skip this information and still come away with the facts you need. Tip. This icon highlights advice on how to ease baby into a new situation or to make less work for yourself. Warning. The warning icon points out situations in which you or baby may find yourselves in harm's way. Where to go from here. All For Dummies books are written in modular form. That is, each chapter stands on its own. You don't have to listen to the introductory chapters to understand the chapters toward the end of the book. Heck, you don't have to rely on any one chapter to explain another. Each chapter contains advice specific to that particular month or topic, so you can dive in wherever you need to and you won't be lost. Start wherever you're at during the first year. If you waited until the 4th month to buy this book, skip right to Chapter 9. If you're still pregnant, start at the beginning and decide what you need to know at this point. We know that new parents seldom have loads of spare time to spend reading, so we didn't include information that will bore you to tears or put you to sleep. Wherever you choose to begin, you'll find pertinent information that you can use at that particular time in baby's development. Part 1. Giving baby a healthy, happy start. In this part, preparing yourself for what lies ahead can help make the changes that occur during baby's first year a heck of a lot easier for you and your child. Find out how to get your home ready for baby, how to make the best travel plans for you and your child, how to find the best daycare for your infant, and discover what really happens in the hospital. These are diverse topics, but believe it or not, you may find yourself dealing with each of these issues over the course of baby's first month. Just imagine what you'll encounter over the span of the first year. Chapter 1. Preparing for baby. In this chapter, making plans, remaining flexible, paging Dr. Wonderful, Parenting the adopted baby. Summing up baby's big moments. Wondering about how life will be when baby comes into the fold? Go ahead and make plans, but give yourself a lot of wiggle room. Counting on a baby to follow the plans you make months before delivery, concerning work or vacations or sleep, or even having a pleasant day, is like picking a random date and planning on having nice weather. You just don't know. You can't know until the time comes. Make several contingency plans for baby's first weeks at home, sort of like having an umbrella handy. Remember, the first year is an amazing time of growth, something your pediatrician will officially track at every well baby visit, and development. When you hold your tiny infant in one arm, you'll hardly be able to imagine her balancing on her own feet in a matter of just 12 months' time, when she may also be learning to talk, eating real foods, and displaying signs of her true personality, which, to your delight or dismay, may mimic your own, or your partner's. Adoptive parents face the same issues and challenges, along with some concerns unique to their situation, when it comes to seeing baby through the first year, and beyond. This book is meant to be a guide for everyone who is taking on the total commitment involved with raising a child. This chapter gives you an idea of what lies ahead, and where to look for information in this book. Bracing yourself for the changes ahead. So, you're all set to bring baby home and jump into this gig known as parenting. You've thought about this for, well, what seems like forever. You've prepared yourself mentally. You know that your life is going to be different, but different in a good way. Warning: no matter how long you've been dreaming, planning, and discussing this particular phase of life, you really can't ever know what it'll be like until you're actually going through it. You may bring home a mellow, quiet, easygoing child, or you may bring home someone who seems to have been sent to punish you for all the grief you gave to your own parents. Equipping yourself. Having all the right equipment can make life a heck of a lot easier, as can having the right people around to lend a helping hand. In the event that you've had a difficult delivery, or that your child just isn't sleeping the way you thought he would, having a good support system and accepting the fact that you need to take it easy for a while, as discussed in Chapter 5, can really help to ease your transition toward taking complete responsibility for this one little person. Tip: make your checklist, or wish list, early, and keep track of what you have, what you don't have, and what you absolutely must have before you go into labor. Chapter 2 lists the necessities of new parenthood, from car seats to co-sleepers. Keeping an open mind. The best advice for new parents may be this: be flexible. Although you do want to educate yourself on life with a baby during your pregnancy, try not to settle on one particular idea of how things are going to be. Remember, babies are unpredictable. You could have a terrific first week at home, resting while baby does little more than snooze in your arms, only to find that baby becomes fussy during the second and third weeks for no apparent reason. Maybe you're planning on going back to work after a month, but after a week of broken sleep and long days at home nursing your child round the clock, you're beginning to wonder how the heck you're going to meet that goal. Chapter 4 tells you about returning to work. Running even the simplest errands with a newborn in tow can take twice as long as you may expect. And when fatigue and frustration, discussed in Chapter 5, hit, they can make you feel like you're down for the count. It's really not the case. You just need to regroup and recharge and figure out what works and what doesn't. Becoming a parent. Bonding with baby, covered in more detail in Chapters 2 and 6, can often take two forms: immediate and absolute from the moment of this child's birth, or gradual and intermittent. Nothing's wrong with you if you fall into the latter group. Sure, you may have been expecting to feel an instant connection to your child, But remember, he's a stranger to you. Don't berate yourself for not feeling like a parent immediately. The feeling will come to you. You can bet the farm on it. And after it does, or even before, you may wonder how you can be trusted to care for this beautiful child. If your baby comes with special needs, or if he gets sick or injured, you have an even more challenging set of circumstances to handle. But trust us, you can do it. Turn to Chapter 18 of this book to find out more about how to care for baby when everything isn't perfect. Remember, parenting is sometimes an overwhelming responsibility, especially in a year filled with firsts. Although countless changes are headed your way with the introduction of a child into your home, there won't be anything you can't handle. Repeat this mantra every morning, noon, and night if you need to, because it's the truth. Planning for life with baby. Setting up baby's bassinet and swing are good starts to preparing for the big day when your family welcomes the little one home. However, many other issues are worth discussing before baby takes center stage, such as, are you breastfeeding or bottle feeding? Listen to Chapter 2 for an overview of each. Which partner is going to be the primary caregiver? If both of you are going to work full-time, who's going to take charge of feeding and clothing everyone? Will there be an equal division of household and baby duties? Or will another arrangement work better? Chapter 4 discusses some of these topics. Is there anything you can do to prevent sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS? Chapter 20 has advice on this. Do you expect to make frequent trips with baby? Chapter 3 offers some tips for smooth traveling. Do you know the Heimlich maneuver for babies? How about infant CPR? Chapter 20 goes over this. If you're returning to work, what kind of daycare arrangements should you make? Chapter 4 again. Who do you accept help from? And who do you turn away at the door? Chapter 5 advises you in this matter. How do you deal with family members who happen to disagree with your parenting philosophies? See Chapter 14. What's your take on spanking? How about your partner's view of it? Chapter 17 gives advice for handling discipline in an age-appropriate manner. When do you begin preparing your home to be baby safe? Before you know it, baby will be rolling, crawling, mouthing, and pulling up on everything. Chapter 20 gives advice for baby-proofing your house. Of course, you must consider much, much more to prepare yourself and your life and your home for the arrival of your child. These major concerns are really just the tip of the iceberg, as you'll find after the first year really gets rolling. Choosing a pediatrician. Planning on choosing a doc from the Yellow Pages? Don't. Buying space in the phone book isn't an indication of how qualified a doctor is, no matter how big and fancy the ad. With just a little research, you're much more likely to find the right pediatrician. Tip: the first thing you want to decide is what kind of doctor you're looking for. You have two options. A pediatrician specializes solely in children. He followed up medical school with 3 more years of training in the care of babies, children, and adolescents. Board-certified pediatricians have taken an exam demonstrating their vast knowledge of the health and well-being of their prospective patients. A general practitioner sees a much broader range of patients and may, in fact, be able to take care of your entire family, a big bonus if you're frequently ill. On the downside, he may not know as much about less common conditions in an infant, though if he sees a lot of infants in his practice, he may be very informed on the latest issues. Tip: ask your friends, neighbors, co-workers, and obstetrician, anyone you know who has kids or whose opinion you respect, for the names of good baby doctors. Make sure the doctors on your short list accept your insurance and then set up an interview with one or more of them. Some doctors don't charge for this meeting, others do. Ask about the fee when you make the appointment. Call the doctor. During your interview, you need to find out the following. What's the doctor's educational background? Did he attend medical school in another country, for example? You need to do your research and make sure that the requirements for graduation there are as stringent as they are in the U.S. Also, find out whether the doctor is board certified. A doctor who isn't board certified in pediatrics isn't necessarily incompetent. Certification simply means that this physician has completed extra training and assessment beyond the minimum requirements by a board of experts in the field. What's his child-rearing philosophy? Does it mesh with yours? Technical stuff. What's his take on the use of antibiotics for infections? Some doctors nowadays are taking more of a wait-and-see approach to ear infections, for example, to allow them to clear up by themselves. You may love this approach to medicine, or you may be completely opposed to it. It's best to know now how an ear infection will be treated so that you don't find yourself at odds with your doctor when the situation arises. How many doctors are in the practice? Will you be able to see your doctor for all well baby visits? Who will see baby when he's sick? You may be expecting to see this particular doctor at every single well and sick baby visit. That's just not the case in many practices, at least as far as sick calls go. You may need to see the doctor on call, who may be someone you don't know. What are the office hours? If you work full-time, you may want to look for a practice with evening or weekend hours for well baby checkups. Many practices have a scheduled time where a doctor or nurse answers routine questions that don't require an office visit, such as the recommended dosage of cold medicine for baby's age and weight, or how to treat diaper rash. If he's a solo practitioner, who covers his office when he takes vacation? You want to know that so you have a reliable place to take your sick baby when your doctor is out of town. Remember, tell the doctor if you're concerned or confused about immunizing baby. Some physicians won't take on a child who isn't going to be immunized. For more on immunization, see Chapter 18. Another important consideration: how convenient is the doctor's office to your home? Driving 20 minutes to see the pediatrician may seem like an adventure to you right now, but the first time you have a sick child on your hands, all you want to do is get him in, get him out, and get him home. Not to mention that if you have more kids in the years to come, dragging 2 or 3 sick kids across town to see the doctor becomes even more of a challenge. You can plan on being at the doctor's office plenty over the course of the first year in any event, because your child will have well baby visits scheduled at 2 weeks or 1 month, 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 12 months. Adopting. Although some of the advice in this book centers on a new mom's recovery from childbirth, it isn't meant to exclude adoptive parents. You're taking on the same role as any new parent and facing the same issues during the first year. Remember, in today's open adoptions, birth mothers are sometimes included and/or kept informed of baby's well-being. This is a good thing for your child. First, the circle of people who adore her is only made larger, and can it ever really be too large? And secondly, she'll never question where she came from or what kind of medical history she may have. Bonding sometimes seems to be of particular concern for adoptive parents, but bonding can be a challenge for biological parents as well. And, of course, during this first year, you'll work on achieving that first full night's sleep, on feeding baby, and on developing her motor and communication skills. One thing is certain: as moms and dads, all of us are in the same boat when it comes to learning about and meeting the basic needs of our kids. Looking ahead, baby's first year in a nutshell. You won't believe how much baby accomplishes during his first year. Almost before your eyes, He transforms from a helpless sleeping and eating machine.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?